Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today we are taking a look at XRP and specifically the price action. Guys, as we get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then do subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and you won't miss another update. Right, with that said, let's dive into some technical analysis here on XRP. We're going to kick things off with this weekly chart, which is where we like to start because it gives us a nice good view of where things are heading. Nice big kind of overview of what is going on with XRP. Now, there is a big Fibonacci on this side of the charts here. This is basically from the previous all-time high down to the low, which actually happened at the end of the bear market. So around the kind of 2020, March 2020, right? That's pretty much the low point for many cryptocurrencies with the exception of Bitcoin. And here we basically see a nice low point. And so basically taking that high and that low, then it allows us to take a look at where things might go and we finish this bull run, right? Okay, so when we actually shoot on up these Fibonacci levels, we can see that the area that we're really focusing in on is that $16, that $15.91. That comes in on the 4.236 area of the Fibonacci retracement tool, okay? So that extension is absolutely key, and I think that's going to be a pretty decent level to be expecting from XRP this particular cycle. Now, guys, for all of those people who misunderstand what market cap is or what market cap is not, market capitalization is no barrier to price discovery. Market capitalization is a simple calculation between the circulating supply and, of course, the current price. It's all it represents is just price. It's not value. And so when you talk about market capitalization, it's important that we understand this. It does not represent the amount of money going into a project. It does not represent the liquidity of a project. Okay, it's just a notional kind of value that gives you a rough idea if something is valuable or not. But again, it's not based on value. It's only based on current price. There are two things that we have to consider when talking about an XRP token or coin here going up to $16. One, we have to account for the circulating supply. We have to acknowledge that the circulating supply needs to be squeezed in order for that to happen. Okay, so basically more people that are coming in buying up XRP and hodling it, taking it out of circulating supply, or maybe even when Flare networks launch and we start seeing XRP actually be put into smart contracts, locked up for various different reasons, will you start to actually see and acknowledge a true amount of squeezing happening on the XRP supply? With that being said, there is a second thing we have to consider when we talk about a $16 XRP, and this is FOMO, the fear of missing out. As things start to heat up in this space, people pile in thick and fast into cryptocurrencies, trying to catch the train before it leaves the station. And as a result, the fear of missing out really kicks in, and people keep hammering the supply harder and harder and harder, squeezing it, and as the demand for a token increases, so does the price. So, obviously, since there are only two things that are factors in price discovery, the circulating supply and it being squeezed, and of course people coming in at such high demand for the particular project. As a result, this is what's going to drive that $16 price target as the supply gets squeezed as we further get it into this bull run. Okay, so now obviously we have an understanding of where things are likely to go. We do obviously have to acknowledge the Ripple and the SEC lawsuit. Again, there is a video dropping after this, which will be about the update on that particular lawsuit. It's all looking pretty positive in my eyes. Everything, in my opinion, looks like it's going to gear up towards a settlement. And again, it's been saying this pretty much since December when they actually dropped the lawsuit. It's very illogical. So the most logical outcome at this point is going to be settlement. And if the SEC do not actually come to terms with Ripple, then I think Ripple will actually probably edge them in court. And as a result of all of this, that's why I think settlement, we're going to see a significant push on price. Now, obviously, when the settlement does come in or the court case kind of comes to an end, there is going to be a significant push on the supply, and the demand will actually come flooding in. We saw this with Kick Interactive when it was actually classed as a security. So even if the US want to completely commit suicide in terms of cryptocurrencies, then ultimately you're going to see a bit of a difficulty that side, but the rest of the world not a problem, and Ripple will probably just migrate out of the US into a more regulatory friendly environment, as many of the people and blockchain tech in the space have been doing so far. We are going to see a significant push. Kick Interactive was a clear example of this. Even though the worst possible outcome of having the KIN token associated as a security, we saw the price absolutely fly. It went up 4,000%. Now, in the case of XRP here, we do actually put our $16 price target at about 1100%, so 1168% from the current price, right? So a significant price discovery, but it's nothing major in comparison to where things have been previously. And like I said, market capitalization means very little. So let's take a look at what's going on more recently. And obviously, we have a good broad understanding now of what to expect on the bigger kind of timeframes and the longer term kind of expectations for the rest of this bull run, right? Before we go into a bear market. So let's jump down into our daily. Now, this is where we start talking about that ABC wave correction that we've been talking about on this channel, right? We're talking about ABC, and this is still technically in play, but we got so close to invalidating it today, which is really unfortunate. So again, what we're looking for here is to basically breach the B wave. So we want to go higher than our orange line here. This is $1.30. If we can just get above that, that would invalidate this whole thing. Until that is invalidated, and there's always the possibility of dropping down into this C area. But as long as we hold support, we're going to be good. And I think from where we are right now, things are tracking very, very nicely for XRP on this shorter time frame. Now, we can see that we're oversold, coming back up into a nice comfortable area on the stochastic RSI, so lots of room to grow now on this daily, so that's also working for us. We can have a look at the volume, and we can see that actually the volumes were moving down whilst we were moving up, so not the best sentiment in the space, right? Actually, we would have wanted that in reverse. We would have wanted the volume to go up with our candles going up across these last 3 days, but instead we saw the volume decrease as we pushed up. So loss of momentum prevented us from going above $1.30, above that B wave. So very frustrating stuff there. But again, things on the hourly are looking slightly differently. So we might actually start to see this volume increase shortly. But let's check out the 𝗲𝗏 dashboard. Obviously, the 𝗲𝗏 dashboard is artificial intelligence machine learning led, removing all the human bias from it, right? So it basically takes all the data that it can muster, runs it through its algorithms, and with the machine learning, focuses in on things that really matter for XRP. Now, the overall rating from 𝗲𝗏 here is, of course, an A2 rating, and we can see the fear and greed index is an A2 rating, so quite greedy there, and pretty greedy. So again, and this is usually when you start to see profits being taken, when we go up into the extremely greedy scenario, and that's where profits are taken. And obviously, when you go into an extremely fearful scenario, that's obviously where you buy the fear, depending on where you are in the cycle. So up this end here, not the top end, so it's not extremely greedy, but it is greedy. So I would expect some people to be taking profits. Some traders will probably be taking profits soon for XRP. Now, AMI-HAD ratio shows us liquidity. So obviously liquidity is something that we have to consider. There's plenty of liquidity here for XRP, so nothing to worry about there. An A2 rating, perfectly good. And when we check down a few of these, we obviously see the moving averages are up at A2, not too bad. The profitability is the best it can be at an A1 rating. And the Sharpe ratio now above the 50-day average, an A2 rating. Are there risks associated with holding XRP according to this AI? According to the Sharpe ratio that's derived from here, actually it's showing things are pretty positive at an A2 rating. So overall, A2 for XRP. Things are looking pretty positive from the artificial intelligence perspective. So when we jump back down to our charts and we see what's going on here, we look that we're above the 618, pushing the 702, finding the rejection here just at that $1.30, just below our B wave, but so far away from this C, it's almost a likelihood here that we are going to pierce that B wave high and actually go after the 702, invalidating this C wave correction altogether, and we should be good to continue the growth to the upside. So I do think this is not likely to happen. The probability is pretty much gone by the time we actually had this green candle over here 3 days ago. So I'm pretty certain that it's not going to happen. But until it's completely invalidated, technically speaking, I am going to leave it here until we do eventually get past that $1.30. But let's jump down to the next level, right? Because this is where things really get interesting for XRP on the hourly chart. I'll just get rid of that for a second. And let me do that. Right, cool. And this is where we start to see what's been going on most recently. Okay, so there was this downward trend just here. Okay, and then we basically got stuck inside this triangular wedge right here. So we had this triangle form. Right in here, we saw this. We were talking about it quite a bit. Let me just make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see. We're talking about this triangular wedge quite a bit, right? We're testing this upper bound. We're testing this lower bound 3 times. And we got tighter and tighter and tighter until we exploded to the upside, right? And that's what we saw. We're basically talking about how we were gearing up, ready for this move. Things are looking pretty good, getting tighter and tighter. Then bam, we shot to the upside. We found a new trend, right? We had these 2 highs here. We found this high here. And then we started to retest our upward trend line as well, right? We can see that we're moving up to this upper bound. We're moving down to the lower bound, back to the upper bound. And now most recently in the last few hours, we've been testing the lower area again as we go down to the oversold area on the stochastic RSI. So again, we had the breakthrough event, the retesting of the lower bound, testing the upper end, losing that and pushing down. This is where we lost and were unable to push above the $1.30. And now we're finding good support on top of the 618, and again oversold. As we've lowered the volume down in the last 3 hours or so, we can now start to see a push to the upside, and the next push to the upside might just take us above that $1.30, and again confirm that we are not likely to see a C wave correction. And the other thing that's really important about this hourly chart is we can see that things are getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And the guys, this is all getting really tight on the 702 Fibonacci area. This is the key area for us, that once we get into this really tight bound area here, we're going to see an absolute explosion to the upside, guys. At least in my opinion, that's the most likely scenario. This is going to happen in the next few days, one way or another. We're either going to go and push up significantly, or something's going to happen and we're going to fall down and invalidate our support rather than our resistance. But one thing's for certain, in a few days, we're going to know either way whether we're going up into and above the 702, trying to target a closed candle above the 786, or we are going to fall back down towards our lower areas, okay? And if we do fall down, then we're obviously going to be looking for key support areas on that journey and making sure that we do not see that C wave come in. But overall, things here are starting to actually heat up and get very, very interesting inside this triangular wedge. And again, guys, you know, there's so much things to look forward to in terms of what's going on with the SEC lawsuit, with Ripple, and of course, everything that is going on in terms of price discovery for the rest of this cycle. Hopefully, guys, you have found this brief update on XRP useful and informative. If you have, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then do subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here. With this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.